Hello everyone, my name is Abyssal Structures and welcome to the very first episode of what I would like to call Plug In or Get Out. And bad puns aside, today I'm going to be reviewing the brand new Phoscyon 2 plugin from D16 Group. So first, as a disclaimer, I have not been paid by D16 Group to make this video. I am a user of the first Phoscyon, so I did get a massive discount, but I'm trying to be as impartial as I can. I also do not own the original Roland 303, so I can't compare this to the original sound, so I will just be providing my own opinion on how it works, what it sounds like, what I can do with it. So if you want something a bit more professional, a comparison between different kinds of plugins that are trying to model the 303 and the original hardware, then you'll have to look elsewhere. But let's get into it. So what is Phoscyon 2? It is an improvement on the first version of Phoscyon by D16 Group, which was itself a modeling of the Roland TB303, originally released in 1981. And everyone knows it from its acid sound, which is used a lot in acid house and acid techno. So, without further rambling, let's get into the door and see how it sounds like. And this is how it sounds like out of the box. I just have a kick drum and some hi-hats that are basically just 909 basic kit things, and then we have Phoscyon, which is already very playable right out of the box. Presets here. The scene will change everything, including the patterns, and synthesis will change just the sound. So if you like this pattern, you can change the sound with the same pattern. And all sounds very good right out of the box, even without having to touch any of these. But what we really want to do now is put it on the init preset. There are over 800 presets, as D16 is saying on their website, but I'm not going to go through all of them. With the init preset selected, I can show you some of the functionality. So we have, first of all, the play mode. We can use it as external mode, which means that when I play things here on the keyboard, it will play that, exactly what keys you're playing. And then the next is the sequencer, which is the default mode. So we can put in the notes one by one, for example. Like this. And we can program some slides in. And some accents. And then, of course, we have volume control, which is pretty self-explanatory. Double click will put everything back to the default setting. With right click, you can access the exact value. You can't actually edit this value, but you can see what it is. So, for example, you put it in this position, it will show you it's exactly minus 3.6 decibels. And you can also do MIDI learning from here. And let's put that back on the default. And next we have the sound synthesis knobs here, what we have in the original TB303 as well. We can choose between square and saw wave. Will sound slightly different. And we have tuning, so if you want to tune it to something different, the normal setting is the 440 Hz, which is called also the Concert A, but you can do all kinds of crazy things. And there are two modes. You can have this extended mode where you can transpose it with 12 steps each way, and then fine tune it from here 100 cents each way. Then of course we have the cutoff, which is just the cutoff for the filter, and the resonance, which the more resonance we have, the more squelchy and acidy it will sound. Without any resonance, it'll be like this. And when we increase it, you get that very nice acidic sound. Then we have the envelope, how much the envelope will be applied. It will affect the cutoff. And then we have decay for how long your notes are going to last, aside from the accents. The accents are separate. And this controls the accents here. And you see these little lights on top. There's a red light above the resonance, which means that it links it to this sweep amount, and a blue light on top of the accent, which links this control to the accent volume. And these on the right here are things that aren't included in the original hardware. So you can do a lot more than you can do on the original hardware. There's slide time, which will affect how long the slides are going to be. And sweep amount. And then we have the envelope settings for attack and decay, which are just found on all synthesizers, pretty much all plugins. And then there's the accent volume, which we touched on earlier. And then there's vibrato, which isn't even on many of the mods made for the original 303. And it uses two notes, so it will vibrate between them. And there's speed and depth for those. Then we have the distortion unit. And that's where this really shines. Starts sounding a lot grittier. And we have a lot of different options for what kind of distortion we have as well. Control the dynamics, the drive, the color as well, and whether it's applied pre or post. And then we have 5 different effects as well. There's a limiter, an EQ, chorus, delay, and reverb. And you can also arrange these however you like. For example, if you want the limiter to be last, then your signal is not going to go over 0 no matter what. And we can, for example, we might want a delay And we can edit more parameters when we click the edit button. And there's a filter as well in the delay. And if you want to bypass your effects so you can compare how it sounds like without them, there's a button above the volume knob where you can do that. And I already touched on the sequencer. So you just draw your notes in. It's very self-explanatory. There's a piano keyboard, and you can also change the octaves here if you want some of your notes to be higher, for example, or lower. Very cool. And then you can edit the length. If you want to do something crazy, you can have like 15, for example. You can do some crazy polyrhythmic stuff, and you can apply some shuffle, and if you want your steps to be shorter or longer, you can do that here as well. So if we're really short, we could do this. Or really long. And you can change between normal full scale, dotted notes, or triplets as well. And then you can shift left or right or transpose as well, which is really cool. So you can keep the same pattern but change where it's played. And a really cool thing as well is this live override thing. You can basically modify the pattern on the fly while it's playing. So the note, for example, will either set or clear the note, so it will play when there isn't a note or clear where there is a note. I will show how it works. And the same thing with slides and accents and vibratos as well. Which is very cool, I think. And then we just have copy, paste, and clear. So if you want to clear what you've done, you can clear the whole pattern. If you have some pattern and you want to copy it, you can copy it. And if you then clear it, you can paste it later. Pretty self-explanatory. And then we have the different trigger modes. We can use the internal sequencer, just select what pattern we play. If we have multiple, for example, like that, we can switch between them. And there's 4 banks as well. Or we can use host note, which means that if we play, for example, the low C in the first octave, it will play our first pattern, which sounds horrible now. And C sharp is our next pattern, etc. And next we have the Arpeggiator mode, which turns this sequencer into an arpeggiator. So now when we play something, when there's nothing here, it won't play, but once I put in some notes, you will hear something starting to happen. how the arpeggiator works. And basically everything else is similar, but this is just pitch index instead of the absolute note. And what's really cool as well is if we go back to the sequencer mode, is we can also randomize stuff. So we can just draw anything we like here, and we can change what amounts to do them as well. And then we can switch back to edit mode, and we can decide to keep this, or we can randomize some more. And we can do this any number of times until we have something we're satisfied with. And we can also select which keys we want to have in it as well, which notes and which octaves. And there we go, we have something really crazy. And a really cool thing as well is that we have this little hidden thing here. So we can change the parameters inside, basically the calibration parameters inside the unit. This would have only been possible if you opened the unit on the original hardware, but now you can just click a button and you can, for example, have these little clicks, which will make it sound a little bit more clicky and more analog and not so clean. And then we have quality, GUI and options here on the bottom. Quality, you can change the quality both on real time and offline, which is really handy because if you don't have a very high-end CPU, you might want to leave this on normal or even draft. I think the normal already sounds pretty good. You can change it on high, which might sound a little bit better. And but you can leave it on normal for the real time, and then you can, for example, set it on ultra for when you're rendering it out, and it will sound even better. And here in the GUI, you can change the size, which is pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to change it now because it's kind of perfect for what I'm recording. And then there's system scale as well, which just changes it relative to your system settings. And then you can change between the piano roll, which is new, and the keyboard, which was basically what you had in the original Phoscyon. Now, one of the coolest things, in my opinion, is this new export feature, which you can use to drag a MIDI file from Phoscyon to your DAW. And you can select here what actually it shows you what your note velocities are for accents and non-accented notes. And then you can just drag this here, and it will ask you, at least in Logic, it will ask you if you want to import tempo information, because it includes that as well. I will not import it because my project is already at the same tempo. And then I could move this to the external mode, and it would play this as if it was part of the arrangement, like so. And through editing magic, I'm here recording this conclusion on a separate day, as you can see by this new shirt. So, is Phoscyon 2 worth your money? The simple answer is yes, absolutely. But let's break it down a little bit. First, I would say that it sounds great. And with the option to tweak the calibration parameters, I think that's a pretty good plus side, because you can make it sound pretty much like any 303 that was ever in existence. And second, the general ease of use, I would say, is great. you can find everything pretty easily, but one major drawback is that there's no tooltips, and I think that's fairly unforgivable in 2022. So I will take half a point for that. Then next, the compatibility. Phoscyon 2 now works on Apple Silicon, which is great for me because I'm a Logic user and I'm working on my new Mac Studio, which is M1, but I will have to take half a point for this as well because it took so long. And finally, the price. I think currently the price is like a steal. It's only, I think, 89 euros on their website as the introductory price. And if you have been using the previous Phoscyon, check your user area or your email, you will have an even bigger discount. So overall, I think it's a no-brainer. I will give this a 9 out of 10 acid smileys. If you enjoyed this video or if you found it in any way useful, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you will get all the notifications as well. And also, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Let me know if you're gonna buy this or if you already have it. And if you do have it, what are your favorite features? And if you want, you can also support me on Patreon. If you do, you get my new videos earlier than other people, and there's a few other goodies as well. And also make sure that you check my weekly Twitch stream, where I stream some techno each week with a little bit of variation every now and then. But thank you for watching. I will see you later. Bye bye.